Okay, you can hear me. It's nice to see so many people here. What a fun night. Welcome, everyone. This is our May meeting of the school board in public for the purpose of conducting the school corporation business, and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There will be time for public participation as indicated by the agenda. The meeting site is fully accessible. Any person requiring further accommodation should contact the superintendent at the school corporation central office. Okay, I'll now call the meeting to order. If everyone could please stand, we'll observe a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. We have everyone here but Mr. Parks, which we should note has bravely offered to chaperone the 8th grade trip to Washington, D.C. So he's on a bus right now. We obviously still have a quorum, though, with 4 people here. Mission statement, Mrs. Hutchison.
Lebanon Community School Corporation will cultivate and reach every student by influencing and enriching their lives through the power of education, and will do so in a positive and safe learning environment.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to item 2, approval of minutes for the March 19th regular meeting. I'd like a motion to approve those, please.
Make a motion.
Okay. Second?
I'll second.
Any questions or comments on that? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 3, certify executive session content. We also had an executive session on April 19th for the discussion of job performance by individual employees and purchase or lease of real property. I'd like a motion to approve those minutes, the content of those minutes, please.
I'll motion.
Okay, second?
Second.
Any questions or comments on that? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Item 4, board recognitions. Dr. Milliman.
Thank you. I'm going to call Mrs. Scott to the podium. We have some outstanding students to honor this evening for their efforts, so we'll turn it over and do that now. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. We're excited as we close out the 21-22 school year to recognize our work ethic certification recipients for the year. As part of our career engagement initiative, each year students in the 5th, 8th, and 12th grade have the opportunity to earn the Pride Work Ethic certification. The certificate is a way for students to demonstrate that they possess the employability and character skills needed to be successful, not only at school, but also when they enroll, enlist, or become employed after high school. Tonight, we are excited to recognize these recipients. Students receiving this honor have met the criteria established by the district in areas of academic and work ethic competency. Before we recognize the 81 students who have earned this achievement, please know they're not all here, you will notice that there are several that had other commitments that were pre-planned school activities or athletic commitments and unable to join us, and of course several are on their way to DC tonight. We're going to begin by honoring our 5th grade recipients. Throughout the school year, these students have earned no grades lower than a C, completed a minimum of 2 hours of community service, maintained an average Pride score of 2.25 or higher, and have no more than 1 discipline referral. In recognition of this accomplishment, tonight we're going to ask that each recipient in attendance join Dr. Milliman at the front of the room as your name is announced. Each of our 5th grade recipients will receive a copy of the leadership book titled The Coffee Bean for Kids by best-selling author John Gordon. In addition, these students will be presented their work ethic certificate at their awards program within their buildings. We'll begin with our recipients from Central Elementary. First, we have Ace Goodnight, Tula Heath, Adeline Henson, Simon Kiger, William LaGrange, Jillian Pollock, Vivian Ray, Lewis Shepard, Lila Susong, Maya Walters, and Claire Wilhoit. We'll go ahead and provide applause. Next, from Harney, we have Noah Brubaker, Evelyn Edwards, Kerrigan Hutzinger, Olivia Long, Jackson Medford, Jersey Nelson, Catherine Sanders, Juliana Stirl, Anderson Stump, Krista Summers, and Clara Wright. Congratulations to our students from Harney. From Hattie B. Stokes, we have Chelsea Howard and Bria Koner. Let's go ahead and give those students applause. Rounding out our last elementary this evening will be the students from Perryworth. Audrey Cooper, Jacob Eggers, Zachary Ford, Grant Fulkerson, Sean Havlin, Aiden Karzis, I apologize if I just pronounced that wrong. Grayson O'Brien and Keegan Plow Muntz. And Sophia Castro. Congratulations to all our fifth graders as they set sail on their journey to the middle school here soon as well. Next, we'd like to recognize our eighth grade recipients who have earned grades no lower than a C, completed a minimum of 4 hours of community service this school year, maintained an average PRIDE score of 2.475 or higher, and have no more than one discipline referral for the current school year. We ask that each recipient join Dr. Milliman as your name is announced. Each eighth grade recipient will receive a copy of John Gordon's book, The Shark and the Goldfish, Positive Ways to Thrive During Waves of Change. They will also be presented with their work ethic certificate at their Building Awards program. Lebanon Middle School is excited to announce Callie Bruder, Maribeth Bergen, Alyssa Cooper, Clara Gramlin, Jacob Gully, Ian Kincaid, Owen Kincaid, Charlotte Kleindell, John Klimazowski, Maya Mishner, Mary Mitchell, Phoebe Morrison, Allie Nyhouse, Benjamin Parker, Madison Platt, Joel Salinas, Elijah Sloan, Nicholas Trepkos, Kiara Vitelli, and Eli Williams. Congratulations, ladies. Finally, we're honored to recognize 24 members of the class of 2022 as Lcsc Pride Work Ethic Certification recipients. The recipients have earned a GPA of 2.0 or higher, completed a minimum of 6 hours of community service this school year, and maintained an average Pride score of 2.7 or higher with no more than 1 discipline referral. In addition to being recognized locally, these individuals have also earned the distinction of being a recipient of the Governor's Work Ethic Certificate in the state of Indiana. Tonight, Dr. Milliman is excited to present each of these graduating seniors with John Gordon's leadership book titled The Coffee Bean, along with their own black portfolio binder and work ethic certification cords for graduation. We're going to begin with Sophia Aragati. Leah Bayshore, Chloe Beltran, Sarah Brown, Kinsey Bruder, Kirsten Dallas, Cammie Deakins, Marin Devlin, Adam Elshahat, Michelle Horvat, Reese Jones, Grace Medici, Lindsay Mount, Kobe Ottinger, Zachary Prime, Andrew Phelps, Jackson Shepard, Ryan Shepard, Cameron Scoble, Kaylin Spanhook, Jordan Taylor, Max Williams, Brooklyn Woodard, and Kennedy Zellers. As we conclude, I will share, this is, as you guys know, the first time that we've recognized all the individuals 5th, 8th, and 12th here at a board meeting, and it's exciting for the 5th and 8th graders to see what they can work towards at the completion of each building level and as they work towards their senior year. And to close out, I just wanted to share that inside of each of these books tonight, presented is a special message from Dr. Milliman, and he shared in that, you have set yourself apart as a leader. As you continue on your educational journey, remember that you have the power to change the world around you. It all starts by having the right mindset, purpose, and perspective. We hope that through the opportunity of the work ethic certification, students have gained an understanding of necessary employability skills for today's in-demand jobs and continue to demonstrate pride in all they do within our schools, but also as they embark on their new journeys after high school. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
They know the drill. They know the drill.
They know the drill. Thank you all for coming and congratulations. We just ask that you leave quietly, please, and go ahead and exit the building. We do have a long agenda to work through this evening. Thank you very much for being here. Congratulations.
Board, I have one more board recognition. I took it upon myself on behalf of the board to take a moment to recognize the man behind the glass this evening, Wade Thatcher. It's been a very challenging couple of years, as you know, navigating, well, it's challenging dealing with all of us, period, you know, in a normal year. But certainly with all the challenges of virtual meetings and all the logistics that goes into this, we wanted to take a moment tonight and thank Mr. Thatcher for going above and beyond to help us keep this on track and keep our board meetings on track. So, Mr. Thatcher, if you would come out here, we have a little gift for you. Knock on the door, somebody. Here he comes.
He's listening.
Bell has this morning for you to sign.
Well, I would just add my personal thank you and congratulations to Mr. Thatcher. You can't even begin to list off how he contributes way above and beyond anything that he's required to do. And if you have a question, that's who you ask. Or if you need something done, that's who you ask. So we rely on you, Wade, and we appreciate you. And there you are, hiding back in
Yeah,
there.
back
Back
in
here
It's my
again.
computer for the 8th time, so.
There we
back,
go.
back in his happy place.
Thank you.
Yeah, very
So-
good. So, thank you. I took it. I felt that you would be okay with me taking it upon myself for you in that regard. So,
Excellent.
yes.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
And you are next on
I'm
the
next,
agenda,
right?
so when you're ready, go right
yes,
ahead.
for superintendent announcements. So, well, the first and most obvious announcement is to thank everyone and thank our community for their support on May 3rd, for trusting this district to be stewards of their tax dollars in the right way. We have some exciting times ahead. We have a lot of work and hard work ahead. Looking at you, Jim. And we're excited to get started. Working on some presentations that we can put on our website. If you look on the referendum page right now, it just says under construction. Mrs. Totterud and I are looking at the best way to share with the community our progress. But we'll be meeting with professional partners here over the next few weeks. The board has their first work session scheduled for next week to begin talking to the professional partners. We're going to go back to our administrators who will continue to communicate with staff on the operating referendum side. We've done that throughout, but just continue to share with the community how we're utilizing those funds, and it's exciting to get started. So I just wanted to take a moment and thank everyone for that and everyone who supported our work. I wanted to mention I think the last board meeting we talked about the DECA students who are going to be attending the national conference, or international conference, I guess, in Atlanta. So I did want to congratulate Emma Hornbecker, Amelia Sheff, Audrey Patterson, Anna Robbins, Addison Kupka, and Katie Gallman, who represented Lebanon there, and did receive certificates of merit. As you've learned, this is a very prestigious group of presenters in Atlanta that gathered for this. So we continue to inch up and get more and more qualifiers each year. So it's exciting to see their work, and we congratulate them on that. Our academic teams here at LHS finished in the top 10 in the state in Class 2. So if you're thinking about kind of an athletic version of what that means, is kind of like 3A, if you will, size schools across the state of Indiana. And we are in the top 10 of all schools within that category with our cumulative scores. And want to also thank Lebanon Educational Foundation for their support of that work. That they really make it possible for them to travel and to participate and compete in their academic competition. So congratulations to them. Take a moment again. We had a wonderful celebration in this room a few weeks ago, celebrating our distinguished educators and our Teacher of the Year. I just wanted to reinforce again our thanks to the hard work for Lydia Sturm, Central, Michelle Walton, Harney, Josh Hoffman from Hattie B. Stokes, Ashley Faisal from Perry Worth, Ashley Starkey from Lebanon Middle School, and this year's Teacher of the Year from Lcsc is Josh DeBard from Lebanon High School, and I know he's working hard on his state application right now with some of the help from our staff as well. So we wish him well as he tries to make the finalist stage for Teacher of the Year in Indiana. This is a really cool opportunity. Jen Totterud brought this to our attention that the Colts here in Indianapolis were starting something called the Colts Classroom Quarterback. Any administrator could nominate any staff member in their building throughout the state, and our own Rachel Becker from Lebanon High School is a top 10 finalist for the Colts Quarterback Award. And as a top 10 finalist, she's going to get some Colts swag. She gets Colts tickets. I think they'll be honored at a Colts game, and where the winner will be announced. I think there's some cash or $100 Amazon card thrown in there for good measure. So a really, really cool thing that the Colts are doing to honor teachers. And thanks to Mr. O'Rourke for writing a stellar application for Rachel. And so I just want to take a moment and congratulate her. Well-deserved, as you know, for her hard work. So I want to take a moment and congratulate her as well. Lindsay Williams, agriculture teacher at the middle school, continues to rack up accolades. She is now the Indiana 2022 Outstanding Early Career Educator. So she was a finalist, if you recall. Now she is the winner of that award. So congratulations to her. That's a great accomplishment. And I think she gets to travel with that, perhaps to a convention in California and present or something of that nature. So it's great as well. And then finally, I want to congratulate our graduates. We're going to be celebrating them in a few weeks, or next week. Not a few weeks anymore. It's next week. Losing track of time. I do have my remarks started for that as well. And I know some of you up here are intimately involved in that process. What a tremendous class. We think back about really all that our students have gone through, and staff as well, to get them across the finish line. I always say that I get to play in the Super Bowl every year, because that's when you're in education in any field, you want to make it to the Super Bowl, and that's what graduation feels like every year to me. So congratulations to everyone, from kindergarten teachers all the way through the senior English teachers that help these kids across the finish line. They are kids, and they will always be kids to me. So anyway, thanks to everybody who made that happen. Look forward to celebrating them next week. That's all I have.
Okay, it's quite a list. Thank you. A great list. Excellent. All right. Item 6, consent agenda for staff matters. Dr. Milliman?
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Keith. We'll start this evening with classified staff. And the first, just want to, let's see. Yes, sorry, for classified, we have 2 this evening, bus drivers, 2 part-time bus drivers, a long-term sub position, which is filling a maternity leave at Harney, special education instructional assistant, and 2 summer crew members for our buildings and grounds. Also this evening, we are asking for the approval of the recommendation to approve the retirement and severance agreement for Charles Tate from the position of Chief Financial Officer. And I wanted to acknowledge Mr. Tate's years of credible service to public education throughout his career. He was a teacher, athletic director, school administrator, and district administrator, and take a moment to wish him well in his retirement. So that is it for classified staff this evening. Under certified this evening, we do have 2 teacher resignations, one here at the high school. Mr. O'Rourke can help me with the pronunciation of Gina. She's just Gina to me. I can't pronounce her last name. Yeah, that. Yeah. Math teacher, I can't get that last name out. She'll be missed as a math teacher here at the high school. Isaac Huntoon at Harney Elementary submitted his resignation at the end of this school year. Mrs. LaCrone is recommending Hope Herod for the special education teaching position at Central Elementary beginning next year. Mr. O'Rourke is recommending Molly Murphy as a long-term sub for yet another position here at the high school to finish the year. And we are happy to recommend Tyler Dam for the business teaching position, and this is to replace our retirement in that department. Comes to us with some great credentials, so congratulations to high school for that recommendation. And then this evening, Madeline Sandberg is recommending Vicki Williams, who's a part-time psychologist for 2 days per week, and Erica Toronto as a full-time psychologist. As you may be aware, again, I'll remind the board, the 6 psychologists often are shared among the 6 joint services school districts, so that could be a shared position throughout that. And then one ECA position this evening, which is Mr. Levine recommending Trey Kamaj for the track and field assistant coaching position. That was originally a volunteer position. He's recommending a paid position this evening for that. That's all I have for staff matters.
Okay. All right. Board, I'd like a motion to approve the classified, certified, and ECA staff matters as presented, please. Okay. Second?
Second.
All right. Comments or questions? I would just, on behalf of the board, also extend our thanks for Mr. Tate for his years of service and wish him well in his retirement. I did have one question on the track and field. Obviously, we're at the end of the season. Is that?
That's a good question. I didn't ask Mr. Levine.
He's,
As
yeah,
a volunteer, but he's been playing
that role the full
Okay.
year. Okay. I see that he's already been approved. I'm just
Yep.
curious the timing on that.
There was going to possibly be some scheduling conflicts, but that did not happen.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Okay. Thank you.
As always, Mrs. Beltran, to my rescue. Thank you.
Anything else? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Consent agenda for business matters. Dr. Milliman.
Yes, requesting approval of payment of claims this evening totaling $1,418,119.15, a payroll calculation of $1,861,672.24 for a total claims this evening of $3,279,791.39. That is, at this point in time in the year, 31.2% of the education fund expended and 26.78% of our operations fund expended as of April 30th.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the financial report. Board, I'd like a motion to approve claims for payment 55547 through 55691 and payrolls for April 29th, 2022 and May 13th, 2022. Okay, second? Any questions or comments on those? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. All right. Item 8, comments from the public. We do not have anyone signed in to speak this evening. So we will move on to item 9, our action items list this evening. Here we go.
It's a long list this
It
evening.
is a long one. We made it to you. All right, 9A, consideration of teacher resignation letter. Dr. Milliman, yes, you are.
Yes, I'm up.
Have the next
Yes,
several here.
next several. I am bringing for your consideration, as Indiana Code provides, to consider a letter of resignation for teacher Adam Gaha at this time.
All right. Board, we have a resignation letter to consider from Mr. Adam Gaha. Is there a motion to be made? Hearing no motions on that, we will move on to the next item.
Yes, at this time, I would recommend the board approve the cancellation of teaching contracts with Lebanon Community School Corporation with Adam Gaha.
Okay, thank you. Board, I'd like a motion at the recommendation of Dr. Milliman to cancel the contract of Mr. Adam Gaha, please.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Second? Any questions or comments on that? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Item C, recommendation for food service contract.
Yes, my pleasure this evening to recommend a ongoing or a new yearly agreement with Aramark for the food service services that they provide Lebanon schools. We are required through the Department of Education to request RFPs, which we did, and we received, I believe, 3 responses to that RFP. We were required by the IDOE to score those and evaluate each of those. Aramark was the unanimous choice among the panel of 3 scorers, and we have reviewed their agreement, and I'm pleased to bring that recommendation to you this evening.
Okay. Board, I would like a motion to approve the contract with Aramark Food Service, please. Okay. Second?
Second.
Any questions or comments on that? I would just reiterate our satisfaction and pleasure with your work. Jennifer, you're here this evening, but especially in the last couple of years where you have been faced with enormous difficulties of supplies and logistics and everything else. You've really risen to the occasion and taken care of the kids, so thanks. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item D, recommendation for contracts for projects within the 2021 GO bond.
Thank you. I am pleased to bring a recommendation this evening. We received the bids for this HVAC work. This will include Lebanon Middle School adding a chiller to Lebanon Middle School, Harney Elementary replacing a 24-year-old chiller in that building, here at the high school replacing 2 boiler units, and Hattie B. Stokes removing a boiler and adding a new replacement boiler. The request this evening for these bids or to issue contracts totals $2,168,000. Irish Mechanical was the lowest responsible bidder. We have had experience with Irish Mechanical here. They've done work with us throughout the district. We've been very satisfied with their work, but they were also the lowest responsible bidder in this process. I will mention that there was more projects listed in this 2021 GO bond, including outside work, softball field for the varsity softball, as well as an outdoor learning lab here at the high school for special education. When the bids were received and evaluated, the bids were enough higher than the estimated cost and what's available in the GO bond. By the time we completed that work, we would have had to compromise really substantially the scope of work and quality of that project, of the projects, but frankly really wouldn't have been able to get it done in a satisfactory manner with where those bids came in. So our thought process at this point is to keep those funds, maintain those funds for that purpose, rebid this project at a later date, and be hopeful that that bid will come in a closer to the estimated amount, so that we can provide the quality of facilities we like. I did ask Schmidt Associates, architect and engineering firm, they're here with us this evening, help design that, prepare the bid packages as well in case the board has some questions about that, about the estimates and what we're facing right now in the construction world, whether it be road construction or school construction, and what we're battling and kind of where we were on that process. So I anticipated some questions around that. We were excited to get going on the entire project, but we want to make sure we provide a quality facility for our students, facility at all, really, with where we were on the overrun. So you will notice that that's missing from the recommendation this evening. We do want to move forward with getting this work done as quickly as possible within our buildings. We're on a tight timeline, obviously, to get this work done in time for school to start. I know that the teachers and students want chillers in their building in August when we come back, so that's important work. So with that, I turn over the recommendation for your consideration.
Okay, yeah, why don't we take the motion that we need to make?
Sure.
To pay for the existing projects. We know we're going to do that with the chillers as outlined by Dr. Milliman. So I would like a motion to approve the purchase of the chiller boilers as outlined for the price of $2.168 million. And let's go ahead and move forward with that. Can I have a motion to approve those, please? Second? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion passes. So we have our HVAC covered.
Yes.
I would imagine there are some questions.
Yeah.
Anyone like to lead off with anything, or maybe we just start with further information as
Yeah.
far as what's been
Yeah, I don't
bid
know
and
if Mr.
the
Miller or
process.
Mr. Ross may want to come up and talk a little bit about what we're facing with those. Maybe, I think it might be good for the board to hear what the original estimate was for the work, where kind of we were and where the dollars shook out. And I think it'll become apparent why, we had to make this decision at this time.
So the project for the outdoor included the softball field, new varsity field, new practice football field for the middle school, and then the outdoor learning lab. I got outlined. The estimate was roughly 1.4 million, and the bids came in at 2.2, so quite a bit higher. And there was some other work that we wanted done, which included lighting, which was not a part of that 2.2 for the softball field. And what we're seeing right now with large site projects is that site contractors don't need to work, as there's many road projects, many other construction projects. So when we were talking with the low contractor on that, they said they were not getting responsive on earthwork or pipe and all that, and so there was just not anyone to bid it. And so when they were throwing in numbers, it was a lot larger than planned. And so in the hope of, we talked about moving it to the end of the year, is that the contractors will be looking for work next year to be planned, as they're booked up this year.
We only had one bid, did we not?
We had two, and so, but the low was 2.2, and then the next bid past that was, I believe, 2.6. So they weren't even close. So
I'm sure materials has somewhat to do with it, but mostly you were saying it's because they just have too many projects. So it's, where are we at with the cost of materials and,
the cost of materials are definitely up, and that had some to do with it, but we think that most of it was that there was no site contractors to bid the work. And so the ones that did bid it said, if I get it, here's much money. Then if I get that, then that's awesome, and they'll figure out how to make it work. But yeah.
What, just for our information, what are you seeing with other projects from a percentage standpoint above maybe what some of your, I know you try to bake in as much inflation, as much cost, you try to bake that in as much as possible. What are you seeing as kind of a industry trend, if you will, with percentage above?
We did bake in some. We put in a 15%, I believe, and we didn't want to go much higher than that, because then you're not going to want to do that project anyways. If it costs a softball field at 2.2, no one wants to do it anyways. But we are seeing around all of Indiana, as Kyle actually opened up this morning for a new kitchen addition at square footage was basically 590 a square foot for that addition.
Which would normally be in the 3 to 350.
You're right.
Maybe.
So
Roofing,
40%.
roofing is up 3 times what it was 2 years ago, year and a half ago.
Do you mind step into the microphone? Just
Yeah,
so
sorry.
people are-
Kyle Miller with Schmidt. No, roofing is one thing that's crazy right now. There's just, some things are worse than others. Lumber, earthwork is just, that's mostly labor and obviously, and it's just availability of people and people and contractors, like Bob said, having just too much work right now, and they don't need the work. So site contractors are looking to start work in January. We always find that bids, and in any occasion, bids are usually best received probably at the end of the year or the start of the next year. That was just the timing of this one. So that would be a recommendation. We can sit tight, maybe talk to some contractors, looked at it and said, do you see anything that looked expensive? But I just think it's more the time of year that nobody needs any summer work right now, and this is good weather work. So maybe we can get in next year's cycle for that. But inflation on materials is crazy across the board. This kitchen cafeteria, we bid it in November, and it was about 5.1 million for something like that. Or I'm sorry, 4.8 million, somewhere like that. And so we took work out, we reduced the size of the building, we removed things, and it came in higher today. So it's really tough to track it. So we're going to put that one on the shelf to the end of the year and just see if things settle down a little bit. And we had one bidder for that one. And when they know they're the only bidder, and they don't, they always know that they're going to mark that up and hope they get it. So, yeah, it's a tough time right now. It's great because everyone's busy and it's very, lucrative out there, but the problem is, this is the problem. Yeah.
Questions for Schmidt? So it sounds like we should go back and kind of restart and evaluate what we've done so
We
far.
should. We're also looking, there's previous GO bonds that funds had been earmarked for different items as well. And now, with the successful capital referendum, I think we'll go back as well and take a critical eye, looking at what work may be part of a renovation project through some of our referendum work, and whether some of those dollars that may have been earmarked for an ongoing work may be able to be used in that previous GO bond as well. But those are just some things. We got to do a deep dive internally into that. We do not want to sacrifice what we had on our plan, right? We don't want to sacrifice that we will not do. However, if it is going to be addressed in another way on a similar timeline in the same building, then perhaps there's some work there. Bob mentioned the lighting on the field, which was not part of that bid. That would be a good example of that. Probably, I'm going to throw out a number, it's probably about 200,000-ish for lighting of a softball field. So if we could find that, possibly in a previous GO bond, because it's other work that we're going to do with referendum dollars, that may be something. But that's not 750,000. That's not the shortage that we need to do the work. We don't want to sacrifice quality of the press box facility. We don't want to sacrifice, in any of the quality of that field. We want it to be of nice and high quality. So sad, but here we are. So.
Anyone else?
Thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate
Thank
you
you
coming
very
in.
much, both of you. I appreciate it. Well, so maybe once we have some time to rework that in a few
Yes.
months, come back and do an update on.
Yep, we'll
where
send
we
out
can move with that.
another bid package. We'll look at it all again, and it's an opportunity to see where, maybe there's something we can shave. We'll see.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, item E, resolution to transfer reoccurring amounts from the education fund to the operations fund for 2022.
Yes, remind the board that this is kind of a procedural item that we bring before the board annually. We did, however, bring only the remainder of 2022 to the board as we, kind of evaluate where we are in a financial situation with some of our new developments, right? We want to take a look at that. So we still have time to bring the 2023 plan to the board, obviously, before 2023. So we did not bring 22 and 23 to the board for this, but this is a recurring amount in the transfer from education to operations. As a reminder to the board, there's a stipulation in accounting of school finance and within Indiana law about 14% kind of being the ceiling of amount that would be transferable from education to operations. This was put into place because the legislature recognized that there are things that we pay for from the operations fund that are more, in my opinion, than indirectly related to the quality of instruction that happens. And, the education fund is for the instruction of our students, but keeping the room cool, keeping the room clean, keeping the lights on, keeping everything in proper condition for education to take place. The legislature does recognize that, so that's why there's the ability to make this transfer.
Okay.
So this is a resolution. I don't know if I'm supposed to read the entire resolution or whether
we haven't read the entire thing in
Yeah,
the
I
past.
think I pretty much summarized it.
I think as long as we have it
yes.
attached to the minutes.
It's
we're
attached to the
good.
minutes, and it is, I'll just say it's pursuant to Indiana Code 20-42.5. That way that's read into the record.
Okay.
And this resolution would satisfy that requirement to allow that transfer to take place in the amount of $285,000 monthly through the remainder of 2022.
Okay. All right, Board, I'd like a motion to approve the transfer of reoccurring amounts from the Education Fund to the Operations Fund for the remainder of 2022, as outlined by Dr. Melvin. Okay, second?
I'll second.
Any questions on that? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. F, request approval of the 2022-2023 Elementary Handbook. Mrs. LaCroix.
Well,
I
and
believe
Mr.
she's
Crow's
here
not
this
here.
evening.
Yeah, I believe it was supposed to be Dr. Dye, and she is ill this evening.
Oh, no.
So is unable to present the handbook. You were presented the drafts of the changes, so if you have questions, I'm happy to share those with the elementary principals, but I think they were relatively routine, if I
They
recall.
were, yeah. All right, Board, I'd like a motion to approve the 2022-2023 Elementary Handbook that we have previously received in our background notes.
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Second? All right, I would just reiterate there are no substantial changes to that from the previous year. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. G, request approval of 2022 through 2023 LMS handbook.
Yes, Mr. Dunsh's on this, oh, and actually, he flew out, I think. I don't think he's on the same, I don't think he's on the bus. I think he was
It's a
smart
lucky
and
one.
took a plane out to D.C. And there's a welcome event at the middle school this evening, so the other two gentlemen are engaged in that. Just a couple minor changes with the middle school handbook. On page 42, there's an addition in the student behavior plan. They just added as one of the items that's not allowable is in 2 or more students in the same bathroom stall. It seems like an odd rule to put in place, but we're battling the world we know as vaping. And so when we have 2 students in that location, this is how that's often accomplished among the students. So we're just making it clear that that's not allowable. So that was an added item. And in 6th grade, cheerleading was removed from page 45 from the list of events. That's it. That's the extent of the changes in the middle school handbook. So minor
Okay.
there as well.
All right, Board, I'd like approval of the LMS handbook for the next school year, please, as presented.
I'll motion.
Okay, second?
Second.
Any questions on that? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. H, request approval of 2022-2023 LHS handbook. Mr. O'Rourke.
We have a presenter.
Thank you, we do.
Good evening. I think you have the document and then change the document, so it's 2.5 pages, but most of it is grammatical corrections and cleaning up items. I don't think there's really anything overly notable, but happy to take any questions that you might have on any of the changes.
Okay. Anyone? Okay, I think we're good, thank you.
Thank you.
Board, I'd like a motion to approve the LHS handbook for the next school year as presented by Mr. O'Rourke. Second?
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. I, approval of 2021-22 summer school staff.
Yes, you have before you the list of recommended teachers, the dates of the summer school for elementary and high school. I'd like to thank all the administrators who worked hard on this schedule, as well as selection of teachers. This is a much more detailed process than many might realize. And thank Dr. Ottinger for her leadership in putting all of this together for this evening. She is here if you have any questions, but you do have the list of teachers and sessions in front of you.
Okay, thank you. Board, I would like a motion to approve summer school staff for this year as presented in your background notes.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, second? Any questions or concerns about those? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. J, second reading and pending approval of policy update. Dr. Miller.
Yes, this is policy 0167.3, which is the public comment at board meetings. And as mentioned last time, we thank the board for your hard work and edits of that. Happy to report that our original policy was very close to what the current law required. Just a couple minor tweaks here. Remind the board that we did add a provision in there if a student does wish to speak to the board. They are not required to state their address, other than adults obviously would be, for the safety of the students. And it does require a comment to be made on board agenda items. There is a procedure in this policy for members of the public to request to the superintendent's office for an item to be placed on the agenda. So there is a procedure for that, for the consideration of that. And that really sums up where we are with this policy. So thank you for your hard work on it.
Very good, thank you. Board, I'd like a motion to approve the second reading of policy update as outlined by Dr. Milliman. Second?
Second.
Okay. Any questions or comments on that? Okay. Great, thank you for working on that. I know that
thank you.
gets us up to speed. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Okay, request approval of a donation to the high school band.
Yes, they've got a couple fun agenda items here. This is a neat donation. Asking approval this evening from the board for a donation to the LHS band from the class of 1952. And they are requesting the approval of that donation in the amount of $1,489 for the purpose of purchasing new band instruments. So thank Mrs. Cunningham for making this happen, and all the members of the class of 1952. And maybe one of these days, that many years out from my high school graduation, I can authorize some kind of neat donation like this as well. I just think this is really cool. So I thank them for that on behalf of the high school band, and request your approval.
Okay, yeah, very, very kind and generous. Board, I'd like a motion to approve the donation of money to go towards instruments for the high school band from the class of 1952. Okay. Second? Any questions or comments on that?
Well, as a band mom with a son in band, I think that is wonderful, and I know that trumpets are expensive, all instruments are expensive, so it's nice that they're able to donate that money to maybe students who can't afford to buy instruments, or to upgrade some of our instruments, so that's very generous.
Yeah, definitely. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Yes, very kind. I appreciate it.
Possibly buy a pair of drumsticks
I was
with
gonna
today's
say.
in today's
Instruments are so
cost.
expensive.
Yes, exactly. Unfortunately.
All right, L. Now
Yes,
we're donating to
another
FFA.
donation. I'd like to congratulate our agricultural teachers again for staying engaged with many community opportunities. And this one came in the form of Culver's and it was a national promotion, and our students were able to go downtown to Indianapolis and work with the folks at Culver's and have an event, I believe, on the Circle in downtown Indianapolis. And for their efforts, Culver's made a donation of $4,770 to our FFA program, really with very little to no strings attached. So they're able to use these funds to support their trips, their competitions, or supplies. So it's a wonderful gesture, and we thank Culver's for including us in this opportunity.
Great, thank you. Board, I'd like a motion to approve the donation of $4,770 from Culver's to our high school FFA program. Okay, second?
Second.
Yeah, and I think our ag teachers are really going out and seeking out these opportunities, which is very exciting.
Yep.
Great community partners.
Mhm.
I just want to know if they got ice cream along with this.
I don't. I'm assuming they probably did. They probably travel with it all the time.
We'll have to ask about that. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. All right, item M, recommendation of interim director of business services, Dr. Milliman.
Yes, I'm asking this evening the board's approval to officially appoint Doyle Dunshee as the interim director of business services for the remainder of the school year, and to the point where a permanent director of business services is named.
Okay. Board, I would like a motion to approve Doyle Dunshee as the interim director of business services until a permanent replacement can be named. Okay. Second?
Second.
Any questions, concerns on that?
Will Dr. Milliman, will this impact his ability at all to continue to do his job at the?
We have turned that over to the capable leadership for the two gentlemen up the hill, but he is, I always refer to it as up the hill, and he is very close in proximity, so they're staying engaged. They're in the process of selection of some teaching candidates and interviewing, so he's burning both ends a bit, but yes, he's engaged to a degree, but it's a great team, and they're taking care of everything. Yep.
Anything else? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. N, request approval of new appointments to board reorganization matters approved on January 4th, 2022 to the interim director of business services, Dr. Bowman.
Yes, there's a list that I will not read. It'll be in the background notes in the minutes, but these are routine matters that we do in our annual reorganization meetings that would be positions that would be part of the Chief Financial Officer, Director of Business Services, Business Manager, or whatever the school districts may title that director position. And so with the appointment of Mr. Dunshee, we're asking that these items be placed on his position at this time.
Okay, thank you. Board, I'd like a motion to approve these new appointments startled me. As we have in our board reorganization matters on 1-4, and transfer those to the interim director of business services, please.
I'll motion.
Okay, second?
Second.
Any questions on that? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. O, request approval of financial consulting agreement.
Yes, thank you. Bringing for your recommendation for approval of a agreement with Joe Licata for consultant services in business services. You have the agreement, of course, in your packet, and all of the terms, but just for your information, this consultant agreement would include to guide the interim director of business services in budgeting matters. He will assist in the transition of the director, provide search assistance for us as we go through our search and candidate process, strategic guidance regarding financial matters, review and assist with the preparation of the 2003 district budget, including referendum funds and the levies that are part of that process. Strategic guidance regarding the referendum funds, financial advisor and bond counsel communication and work, preparation of future bond issues, and strategic guidance in other areas that are under the Director of Business Services operations of buildings and grounds, transportation, food service, et cetera. So a pretty standard consultant agreement for your considerations.
Okay. Board, I'd like a motion to approve the financial consulting agreement between Lcsc and Mr. Joe Licata, please.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Second? Any questions on that? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. P, request approval of revised 2022-2023 district calendar. Mr. Martin.
Good evening. The calendar that you have is a resubmit from a previous calendar, with the sole difference being February 20th is a different color and is designated as a President's Day snow makeup day instead of no school. I think you've had some background on the reasons for that change with the limit of 3 e-learning days.
Yes. Okay, and is that the only change from what we already had approved?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Board, I'd like a motion to approve the revised 2022-2023 district calendar to reflect the change of February 20th possibly being used as a snow makeup day to reflect the new state law.
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Second? Any questions on that?
I do have a comment for the board, just for your information and for the those listening and watching as well. There is a process through the state of Indiana that was implemented about 3 years ago, I believe. It's a waiver process under House Enrolled Act 1003 that allows school districts to apply to the State Board of Education for waivers from certain rules, regulations, in Indiana Administrative Code governing public schools. One of those waivers that has been successful from several school districts is to exchange, if you will, the amount of time that schools go above the minimum amount of hours and minutes required for elementary and secondary schools and transfer those into days. Now, the most frequent use of this waiver from some school districts has been to create professional development days. So if, let's say, the minimum number of hours and minutes is 5 hours and 30 minutes for elementary, I'm trying to remember in my memory bank, and 6 hours and 30 minutes perhaps for secondary. I'm not sure, a little foggy on that. We exceed that. We go above that minimum number of hours required. Most school districts do. So Mr. Martin and I are going to pursue a waiver with the state. We already had a self-imposed maximum of 5 e-learning days, so we were only 2 days different than what the new state regulation is. So we are going to make an attempt to ask for an exchange of the amount of time that we have in school above the minimum and exchange that for 2 additional e-learning days to bring us back to our current status. That would make this calendar, quite frankly, moot on on the President's Day at that point if we're able to do that, but we need to bake it into the calendar just in case. So I think this was a good opportunity to share that with you, that we are going to pursue that, and we'll be hopeful that that's successful and we can and go back to our current plan.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, we have approved that. All right, we are down to Q, the 2023-24 district calendar, please.
So this was presented in a pending form last month. The difference between this month and that presentation is the February 19th is the same situation, President's Day snow makeup day.
Okay.
And ditto on the waiver.
Same story.
Try it again.
Try it again. All right, and just to reiterate this calendar, mimics what we have been doing in years past. It's no big departure from the breaks and things that we have had in previous years. So, Board, I'd like a motion to approve the 2023-2024 district calendar as presented, please. Okay. Motion and seconded. Okay, any questions on that? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Oh, and you get the next few, don't you? R, request approval for renewal of Yspp contract.
So the Young Scholars Preparatory Pre-K Latchkey Early Kindergarten Contract Building Uses Agreement. We have made one change this year. We don't have room at Harney, so they're going to have 2 classes at Stokes and 1 at Craryworth.
Okay.
And other than that, the contract is pretty much the same except for language changes that have to do with confusion. So everything there was the more appropriate language. No other significant changes. There were some discussions of the limit of 14 kids per classroom versus 20. We've left it at 20, but they're going to self-impose a limit of 14 on their own, and they've put that language or requested that language. But we didn't want to limit it to that because we wouldn't limit that in our own classrooms in the same language, so we didn't want to.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Board, I'd like a motion to approve renewal for the Yspp contract as presented by Mr. Martin, please.
Motion.
Okay, who gets the motion? Who gets the second? Okay. We have both of those. Thank you. Any questions on that contract? It's been a great program for us. I'm glad to see it continue. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, S, approval of renewal for base contract. Mr. Martin.
A similar situation with base. Most of the language is identical. With the caveat, there's always been an issue. State requires latchkey program to have a 6th grade K-6, since we're not having a base located at the middle school. We did put it in the language this time. We've never had anybody ask for a 6th grade base support, but if somebody were, we would transport them from their home elementary building to the middle school. Sorry, the other way. We would pick them up. We would pick them up and,
To their elementary.
yeah, we would pick them up at the elementary, bring it to the middle school, and then,
Okay.
or pick them up at home in the normal route, take them to the middle school, and then after school, they would be transported.
Okay. So the base
to-
would still be located in the elementary?
Yes.
You just take the
It would
student?
just be the 6th grader, should we get anybody make that request.
Yeah, okay. All right. Board, I'd like a motion to approve the renewal for the base contract as presented by Mr. Martin.
I'll motion.
Okay. Second? Okay, Lisa? All right. Any questions or concerns about that? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, T, request approval for LHS Tiger Leadership Camp overnight trip. Mr. Martin.
Tiger Leadership requests the overnight trip on August 13 and returning on the 14th this fall. I believe you have a full synopsis of
Yes. we do.
proposed.
All
trip.
right, Board, I'd like a motion to approve the LHS Tiger Leadership overnight trip, August 13th and 14th in Brown County.
I'll motion.
Okay, second?
I'll second.
Any questions or comments on that? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Glad to see that come back. It's been a couple of years. Good to see.
McCormick Creek got rained out, so we're back.
Okay, item U.
McCormick's Creek notified on about March 2nd or something to that effect that the trip couldn't be supported. So we've moved that trip to September 8th and 9th.
Okay,
It was previously approved. It's just a date change.
okay. All right, Board, I'd like a motion to approve the rescheduled overnight trip to Camp Town at McCormick's Creek State Park, please.
Make a motion.
Okay, second?
Second.
Any questions or concerns about that? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. We did our action items. All right, Mr. Martin, you are up for number 10 too. Update on LHS Spain and France trips, please.
We advised you that we would update you on the safety situations related to Spain and France. So they're now going through London for one day, as well as removing one day from the France trip. So it's 6 to 14. And the Spain trip, they're flying out of Chicago. So they're taking a bus to Chicago, or 2 minibuses. I haven't heard which way that landed yet. And the COVID restrictions are basically they're in a high degree of worry over there, but basically requires everybody to have a vaccination. So if anybody was hesitant to be vaccinated, they were given 30 days to request a refund, and were given a refund. And so if anybody did not wish to be vaccinated, they've gotten a refund.
Okay.
And for the other areas of safety, and they'll all be masked based on requirements of the travel agency, not the local requirements. The local requirements in one of the countries is masks on public transportation, but no indoor masking is required. So they're not deep into the masks, at least. As for the safety side, the State Department the U.S. State Department has pretty much the same. Here's UK, a level 2, which is pretty standard any place across the pond, so to speak. Same with Spain, level 2, with increases of potentials for terrorism, and same with France. And so there's just my information that I had left up. So no significant worries at this stage that aren't always there when you head into that area.
Okay.
So it was not an action item unless anybody has questions.
Well, no, I appreciate the update. Any questions or anything? Yeah, thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for following up on that. Appreciate it. Okay, upcoming board meetings and events. The last student day is next Tuesday. And then the following day, we have a work session.
Yes, we do. Whose idea was that?
Because we just love summer. No, it's an exciting work session because we're going to start talking about, we're going to start building things. So that's exciting. And that's also an executive session worked in there as well. Graduation a week from Friday. And our next meeting here on June 21st.
Breakfast next week.
Top 20 breakfast. There are a whole lot of events in the next
A lot of things happening.
several days, weeks ahead. So exciting time. May's exciting. Any other comments, questions? Anything we've not covered?
Just wish our teachers a lot of luck for the rest of the week. I can speak for my own child, and you're going to need it.
The only people praying for bad weather.
No rain is allowed on the last few days.
Of course not. They have to go out for recess. Absolutely, yes. But seriously, wishing all of our graduates best wishes in their future. And yes.